Hello everyone, today we're in the Carenado King Air 200 and we're on the ground at Gloucester Airport, and the plan today is to simulate an engine failure just after takeoff and then see if we can continue climbing at a reduced rate and turn around and make a visual return to the airport. So it's just going to be basically VFR flight. I've got the only thing I've got the NDB receiver tuned to 331 kilohertz, which is Gloucester NDB. If I turn this nav and NDB pointer for ADF1, then you can see it's kind of pointing to the beacon, which is sort of over here. I don't know if we'll end up using that, but it might be useful to show our track back to the station if we get slightly lost. Looking at the weather, it's calm in QNH 1013, so we've got the altimeter set to 1013. What else do we need to do? We want to set runway heading, so we're going to take off a runway 27, so 270 is set. At the moment both engines are running. I think we're probably ready just to taxi and get on with it, so let's turn the taxi light on, the strobe light on, turn autofeather on. I'm not really sure what happens with autofeather when you deliberately shut down an engine. I guess it doesn't count, but we'll turn it on anyway because we follow the normal sort of procedure for a normal departure. Okay, squawk wise we'll leave it on 7,000. We'll put it on that to on when we get to the holding line for the runway, and we'll also turn the strobe on then, so it shouldn't be on at the moment. So taxi light on, nothing, and the nav light's on, but that's it. Okay, oops, head tracking's a bit out of sync. Let's taxi over. Not very far to taxi. So release the parking brake. And we'll go straight over to the holding point for 27. And we'll just come to a stop here, which is where you'd normally wait for your departure clearance, and we'll just turn on, at this point we'll turn on the strobe and the landing lights, and we'll set our transponder to on. Let's assume that we've well, actually it's altitude reporting, just turn it to that. I think it's on that. Right, okay, assume we've been cleared to depart, so we're gonna brakes off. Check that the runway looks clear, which it does. So just going to line up here. Now what I'm going to do is climb out normally until about 500 feet, and then shut down the left engine. Okay, so we are heading bug aligned, and we've altimeter set, and we're good to go. So watch out for the airspeed coming up, which it is, and we're going to rotate about just over 100. There we go. We're climbing, so I'm going to put the gear up. Pull back the power a little. Let's get up to 500 feet. Follow runway heading. Kind of heading towards May Hill in the distance, so we'll just kind of track towards that. And bring the power back to about halfway now. And that's about 500 feet, so I'm going to shut down the left engine. So I'm going to turn off the fuel, and I'm going to feather it, and I'm going to turn off the generator now then. So the plane immediately starts to bank and yaw to the left. That's the first thing I'm going to do is increase the power on the good engine. We want to maintain about 500 feet per minute. Now I'm having to roll to the right, so to counteract that to some extent I'm going to put some right rudder trim in. Let's put next plane you got the keys 5, 6 and 7 for rudder trim. 6 centers it, 7 is for right rudder trim, so let's put some right rudder trim in, just so we don't need so much force on the stick. There we go, and we've got to watch our airspeed here. We want to keep climbing. Our airspeed's okay, and we were just descending there, so let's get back to climbing. Let's get that power up a bit more on the good engine. In fact, we'll get the prop back now to 1900. There we go. We've got a bit more rudder trim, I think. Still having to hold the stick over. That's not bad. Okay. Again, I'm not watching my altitude, and we've drifted off heading as well. Let's turn back around for my helmet. Let's try and keep it a climb. Let's get up to about 1500 feet. That'll give us enough height then to turn around and make a return to the airport. So we're climbing okay at the moment. Speed is above the white line, and we are sort of doing about 500 if I trim it for that. A small amount of right aileron. I could put more rudder trim in, but I'll leave it for now, just to remind me. Okay, coming up to nearly 1500 feet now. When we get to 1500 feet, I'm going to begin a slow right turn and try and hold 1500 feet and turn and make a 180 turn, so we're heading back towards the airport. Just watch our airspeed is dropping a bit. I can get a bit more power out of the engine. We're not quite at the red lines yet, so I just have a little bit more rudder trim as well. Okay. Actually, how much rudder trim we've actually got? I think there is a trim. Oh yeah, about 5. That's fine. About 5 degrees. I think that's probably about right. Assuming that's 5 as in 5 degrees and not 5 as in something else. But anyway, okay, we're at the height we want to be, so we can kind of level off now. And I'm going to turn around, make a 180. Just going to make it a nice gentle turn. I don't want to overdo it, and I'm going to watch my airspeed and try and maintain altitude by sort of looking out the window and watching the horizon. So we're doing quite a shallow turn. Just want to be careful. We don't want to lose too much speed. Of course, in a real flight, you'd also be having to handle comms at this point and requesting permission to return, reporting your engine failure. You're quite busy. A nice steady bank. Airspeed's holding fine, altitude's holding fine, so we're okay at the moment. It's kind of strange seeing that left prop just kind of floating there. It is feathered, you can see the blades are straight onto the wind. It's just turning slightly. Yeah, in fact we're climbing now, so we've got to be careful we don't climb. We don't really want to climb any higher. Right, now we want to be heading east to head back to the airport. So as we've still got the heading bug on 270, when that's at the bottom, we're in roughly the right direction. We can also use the yellow ADF needle on the left of the HSI, which will point straight to the airport. Okay, now then, let's see if we can identify the field. I'm going to hold about 1500 feet if I can. Don't want to go too high or too fast, because we're not that far away. And then I want to join. I'm going to join a right downwind for runway 27. if I can. I think we just follow the yellow needle straight to the airport until we have it in sight. And just pull the power back slightly now. Stick about 1500 feet until we get close enough to join the circuit, when we'll drop to the circuit altitude, which is about 1100 feet. So engine looks okay on the temperatures, it's on the working engine. Now then, airport, where are you? It's Gloucester on the right, and let's see if we can spot. There's the GCHQ building in Cheltenham, I think, just about 11 o'clock, so the airport should be dead ahead. And there we go, there's a runway here. So and I'm going to try and come down to about 1100 feet nice and slowly and join a quite a wide right downwind for 27. So we don't want to make a sharp turn when we turn base or anything, so let's just keep our circuit quite wide. We're a bit high still, so we can come down. There's the runway now, just in front of us to the right. And I'm just going to come out and kind of runway heading now towards, just aim at this sort of white patch over here. Keep it just to our left. A reasonable distance, but we're still fairly close. We don't want to be doing a turn that's too tight. You know, reduce power now slightly because we want to be slowing down. Normally you'd turn just before Cheltenham. I think I'm going to have to slightly extend that just to make sure we're not turning too sharply. So we've got to watch our airspeed. So I think I might go for a notch of flaps in a minute. And perhaps it's better to put the gear down. Okay, we're at the point where probably want to turn now, so I'm going to drop the gear and start our turn. I'm going to turn too sharply. I'm going to keep the power up here. Give me quite a shallow turn. Just watch the airspeed, and one notch of flaps I think would be probably a good idea. Keep the power up as well. Watch that airspeed. And we are actually losing. We'll be very careful here. Don't want the airspeed to drop any further, so I don't really want to turn much more sharply than this. Plane doesn't seem to want to turn to the right, so I'm just going to have to. We're probably going to overshoot at this point. That's the only problem. Well, if we do, we'll just have to go around again. We'll see. I mean, we should be turning onto final by now, really, and our airspeed's pretty low. Well, let's just keep going and see. We can always have another go at it. We're also quite high as well. In fact, that's probably the problem because I'm climbing. That's not going to help, is it? It's not going to help to keep the airspeed up. So you've got to watch it. Scan all your instruments and look out the window. Okay. Definitely not going to make this because we've turned too slowly. I don't know whether we'll be able to line up or not. If not, we'll go and have another attempt. Now that we know what sort of a turn we can make. Also, I think we're going to be incredibly high if we do try and land. The most important thing here is I don't want to stall. Yeah, I mean, there's the runway over there. We're not going to be making that. So I'm going to fly another circuit. So I'm going to put the gear back up, flaps back up. And this time I know that I'm going to have to go even wider. I've lost a fair bit of speed, so I'll just let the speed, I'll just get the speed come back up and get the altitude back down. We're a bit high again. Let's get back to about 1100 and get the plane stable. There's the runway. So imagine we're on a overhead join and this is our descent dead side. So I'm going to turn, I'm going to beam the end of the runway. Here we go, we've got decent speed back again now. Okay, let's turn to rejoin the circuit. We're almost getting a standard rate turn here, so I think I just didn't watch the altitude properly as part of the problem because I was trying to climb and losing speed. Because that turn seemed much sharper. Again, I'm climbing. It's quite difficult to keep a steady altitude. Okay, we're past the end of the runway now. So we can soon turn right again to join the downwind leg. Let's just get ourselves aligned first. So we're heading north at this point. And then there's the same patch of white ground that we saw before, so we know that we probably want to be turning soon onto downwind, so let's go for that. Again, we've gained a lot of height here, just not keeping an altitude properly at all. Let's get back down gently. We just get ourselves lined up again on a nice wide circuit. See if we can do a better job this time. So we definitely want to be wider. So in fact, there's the end of the runway already. So, okay. It's not a very good downwind there because I didn't keep the runway in sight, but I can just see the end of it. So I'm now going to head out. On a very wide circuit. Let's try and get back down. We don't want to lose too much height because, well, we should still be at circuit height, but we don't want to descend too quickly now, given that we're going to have further to go. Okay, I'm going to try another turn now, but this time I'm going to try and keep. I'm not going to drop any gear or anything yet because I think that didn't seem to help. So I'll do that later. I'm going to power back a little bit just so we lose some height, but this is definitely a better turn, so I think not putting the gear down has helped. So might have to do all that on final. There's the runway, so we'll just keep turning here, I think. We do want to descend as well. I'm tempted to go for the gear now. And I think I'll also go with one notch of flaps. And kind of on our base leg now. And I'm about to turn final. Again, I probably should have started that a bit sooner, given that we don't want to turn too sharply. Now I'm going to remove all the rudder trim before we land, so I'm doing that now. So I'm going to need to, because I don't want to land on the runway, reduce power, and then have lots of rudder trim. Okay, I'm going to go for final flaps. They're going to be a bit high, I think, so I'm just going to take the power down. We want to land a bit faster than normal. We'd be landing about 100. I'm going to land about 110 if I can, in case we need to go around. We need a bit more speed in reserve with just the single engine. Now it's harder to line up here than usual. I need a lot of right rudder, so this could be interesting as we are nowhere near lined up yet. We're okay for descent rate and speed. We are going to land quite fast, so you're going to have to be prepared for that. We're a bit low now as well, so I'm going to put the power back in a little bit. Keep the right rudder in. Reduce the power now slightly. Let's try and line up. Still using quite a lot of rudder. Not very good on centre line. Let's get down. Let's get down. And we're down. Now I'm just going to use the brakes here because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with reverse thrust. So that's fine. And I'm going to take the taxiway at the end of the runway, which is here, well, near the end. Well, let's just see if we can taxi on a single engine. Should be okay if we just compensate with some right rudder and don't go too fast. That seems to be working. So yeah, so let's just taxi back to our departure point. So lessons to learn from that. Well, practice single engine failure more often. Practice keeping circuit altitude. I mean, I was way off there on the circuit altitude, climbing too much, and on the first circuit it was completely wrong position, clearly too near, put the gear down too soon. It wasn't going to work on a single engine. It's basically trying to repeat the same sort of turns you do with two engines, and that doesn't work clearly. So yeah, I guess it's just a case of more practice, and in general with the whole flying circuits thing, is definitely worth practicing looking out of the window, not using the instruments, trying to keep a steady height, just using reference points, on the horizon. Definitely something that you should try and practice. Well, I need to practice anyway. Quite pleased with how the aircraft handled the shutdown engine. I think obviously never having flown a real aircraft or a real aircraft with a shutdown engine, but from what I've kind of read and seen, the rudder trim, the rate of climb, the landing performance seems sort of reasonable, and as I'm taxiing now, I mean it's coping fine. I just need a bit of right rudder to keep it straight. So yeah, I'd say I don't know whether it's X-Plane or this particular aircraft from Carenado. I guess it's probably a lot to do with X-Plane, but it seems to be modelling the whole thing very well. Okay, so I'm just going to turn right up here to try and get back to the stand, although we probably actually, if in real life, we'd be going for some maintenance. So let's just see if we can park anywhere near a hangar. So I'm going to just turn right here. and we will go up and we will park in front of the building on the right. And hopefully we can have a look at that engine. Although of course in this case we shut it down ourselves, so there's nothing actually wrong with it. Okay. Let's just come to a stop and we will shut down the other engine. So that's it. Before we go for good, let's just have a look at the wiggly flight plan on the map to see where we went. So this was a departure which veered off runway heading, so again not navigating properly, looking down at the engine, etc. Got back on course, returned to the airport, attempted this initial circuit which was fairly close to the field, as you can see, and the result was that we completely overshot the runway when trying to turn base, and so came round again, this time much wider, and that seemed to work reasonably well. It's probably more by luck than anything else, but still it's worth kind of practicing. Okay, thanks for watching and bye for now.